I don't know what that is, but that is in my tank.
Well, hey, in my last video, or this video I'm going to link right here, I went drag racing with this Charger with its 340 and a new little track called Leadfoot City. And you can watch the video and, you know, see what's going on and my thoughts about Leadfoot. During the actual editing of the video, I kind of noticed something that you don't notice in the moment. I noticed that when I shifted into second gear, no matter if the car did it itself or I did it, the revs wouldn't come up. Literally, the engine just kind of stuttered its way at 4,000 RPM and wouldn't go any further. So now that made me think and go, hey, you have a fuel delivery problem. Because for the longest time, I thought it was this and that. I thought it was the camshaft being set up wrong, which honestly wouldn't have that big an issue. Or, you know, that I didn't adjust the valves right. I also had a problem where I had the intake manifold was leaking oil and air. So it would end up, you know, blowing out number 6 and 8 with oil. And all these things kind of hid the problem that happened. And we're going to go and we're going to diagnose and probably fix it today. We're going to do two things. First, we're going to take a camera and look in the tank to make sure the sock that's on the bottom of the sending unit is actually still in one piece. It is the original unit. It is now 53 years old almost. And I reused it because it still looked good, and plus the old sending units actually work properly. My gas tank actually is dead on accurate of full, medium, and empty. So we're going to check that with a camera. We're going to go into the tank and take a look and pray it's not that, because to get the sending unit out of this car, you have to empty the gas tank completely, because the gas tank comes down from the back, and that's where the hole is that fills it. So that's a very unpleasant experience. But the other thing we're going to do, and we're going to probably change this out first, is I put this car back together as it was a 318, okay? And because the 318, 340, it's literally interchangeable. If you look at any of the stuff for supplies like fuel lines and whatnot, it's the same fuel line. It uses a 5/16 on a 340. 346 pack used 5/16. Even 383s use 5/16. 5/16 is more than enough for that, you know, that size cubic inch engine. Once you get over 400 cubic inches, now you need to feed a lot more fuel because of the volume of the engine. So I went and I redid everything as a 318. It works. My uncle bought this car in '85. The car was 13 years old. It still had a Chrysler fuel filter on it, because the car had been brought to dealerships all the way through. So everything was left the way it was in the factory. So this is what I had left, because I reordered. I actually had lines made because there wasn't any lines available. See down there? See this? That's the fuel filter. There's the fuel pump. Right there. There's the fuel pump. The fuel filter on 318s is before the fuel pump. I mean, it's a 318. It's what, 400 CFM 2-barrel on it. It's not sucking a lot of fuel. I left it as is. And it, actually, when I first started using the car many years ago, I had the Carter replacement fuel pump, which only does 25 gallons per hour. And I really didn't have any issues with the car. It ran well, did fast, and then, you know, I had changed the engine out and I was driving it, and I had problems where it seems like it was calibrating and it was just sucking air in the fuel pump, because those, you know, Carter pumps are notorious for not being very well made. So I went out and I bought that Edelbrock 110 gallon per hour fuel pump. And that's unloaded, of course, with only 5 to 6 psi, because Thermoquads can't handle high PSI, otherwise they will, the needle seat will just blow out and you just flood. So I put it on there, and it never occurred to me that that thing could be sucking so hard that the little bit of air that's in a filter, there's always going to be air in a filter, no matter how low it is below the gas tank, that pump at wide open throttle, after you go for a full pull at 6,000 RPM and then shift, you have now emptied out the bowls. That is now trying to fill it, and it was sucking air. That, I think, is going to be the biggest culprit. And we're going to realign this to put it, this is a 1973 input, because I needed to be able to modify how the lines would run so I had enough steel, because you never use rubber going to your carburetor. Unless you like fires, no, you use steel all the way to them. It's just not a smart idea. But I had to make it so I can run, it's two pieces, and I can run a kind of a loop on the bottom. That's where I'm going to put the fuel filter now. And the fuel, there'll be a cooler spot in the engine bay, which is right there. It'll be put where that loop is right now, and we'll be able to keep the fuel pretty cool and be able to get to it a lot easier than way back there. So that's going to be a second thing we're going to do on this. So, and then we're going to take the car out, even though I don't have not going to drag strip. We can still tell while we're pulling very hard if we go from first to second and don't hear any pinging, because that was the key. And I'm going to show you one more thing why I have a feeling that this is the issue. So I've pulled number 1 and number 6. I pulled number 1 because that is the one that's going to be the leanest, because it's a high runner on an LA Chrysler. So that one should get the least amount of fuel technically. And I pulled number 6 because it's the lowest runner toward the back of the engine on the right side. So as you accelerate, that's where the lean will go. So we're going to go look at these plugs. Let's take a look. All right. And forgive the bench. I've been in the middle of like 10 projects. So this is number 1. See, I always mark my plugs. If you look, I mean, on the outside, the colors are phenomenal. Same thing with number 6. I mean, that's pretty much, it's a little light, which is kind of, but it's, you know, it still has a tanness to it, which is good. Okay. So this is number 6. So we go down, we look at the top, it's nice, but then if you start looking down in there, it is white. As you get down to the bottom, you can kind of see there's a little bit of, not as much color as there should be. That's wide open throttle toward the bottom. And number 1 is actually even more telling, because you can see on the bottom, see that white ring? That's not supposed to be white. It should be brown all the way down. This engine's going lean. So that concludes that this engine's going very, very lean at wide open throttle. So we need to, that's why it's a fuel delivery problem. You know, if you look at the straps, if you look at these straps, you can see that there is plenty. See the color change. The timing is dead on. You know, it's right at the bend. There's just you could actually see the color change real nice on this one. It's right at the bend, so my timing is right, but it shouldn't be pinging, and it's pinging because it's going lean. So we're going to do the diagnosis, and then we're going to test it. So I found the float, but I haven't found the sock, unless that,
I don't know what that is, but that is in my tank at the bottom.
The side. Oh, there's the sock. All right, I found the sock. It does not look bad. Doesn't look totally torn up. Doesn't look clogged. I see perforations. So this is gack in there. There's a close-up of the sock. Yeah, the sock looks fine. All right, this is what I've done. And I put the fuel filter after
the pump. Nice little curve in the line. Thank God for the two-piece. And then of course over here, just added a piece of fuel line to bring the fuel over. So that's all right. So the sock looks good, and then this looks okay. So let's go take it out. Let's light this candle and see what we got. Okay, so let's see how we are. We're all warmed up. All right, we're gonna just do a slow launch. Well, there you have it. I corrected a mistake that I made because I put the car back together as it was when it was a 318 car, not thinking about, if I start trying to suck more gas because of a giant 4-barrel, that could probably cause a problem and make it suck air. Imagine that. Well, there's a lesson to be learned there, I guess. But it only took me years to figure it out. But then again, I didn't have a problem like this with the stock 25 gallon per hour pump. The car actually ran well, and then I started getting bad Carter pumps. So then I went to the Edelbrock, which then, of course, because it sucks so much gasoline, you end up having the issue I had. But also, I want you to take away that you can take a camera, and they have plenty available on Amazon, I mean, honestly, that you can go and, take the camera, go into your gas tank and take a look. I don't know what that weird formation is in my gas tank. I probably will never find out because I'm not dropping that tank. The sock did look good, though, so you can see what that looked like. So now basically some fine-tuning, probably going to the 850 carburetor because it seems like it could use more carburetor. Play with the timing, and I think we're going to be going pretty good. I think sooner than later I'll be getting a draggy so we can start actually benchmarking stuff. So, there's my little trials and tribulations. I think I finally now on a good road here. So let me know if anything like this has happened to you, and I, of course, thank you for watching up to this point. And if you got something from this, hey, you might as well like it. If you like car stuff, you could subscribe and share it, whatever, those things down there. But, I will point out when I do something really silly, and this was pretty silly because it was just the way it was, and I just put it back to the way it was. It didn't dawn on me that there was going to be so much volume difference. Yeah, that I'd starve the carburetor. So, with all that said, once again, thanks for watching, and if you have a cool old classic car, something fun to drive, take it out, you'll make someone's day, maybe even your own. And I'll catch you really soon.